it's easy to just say, I'm going to knock out someone who hasn't done any experience in boxing and who's been in the NBA for 10 years and only picked up boxing in the last 5 months. Whereas he's been there boxing for the last couple of years. He hasn't ever been tested because he takes on goons that are just so easy to just sweep over. Like Deji, Joe Weller, Nate Robinson is easy. I don't think he has a chance against actual boxers. He has a very good chance against influencers and people who don't know the sport.
I thought Nate Robinson was absolute dog shit, to be honest with you.
It wasn't that bad.
He was. He was.
Yeah, no, he wasn't the best.
You could very much see, like, he's very athletic and very fast and springy. You can tell he's a basketball player because he came flying out just like...
It looked like he was about to rugby tackle him.
Mental. Yeah. And you're looking and you're watching and you're going like, fuck me, just take a breather, son. Like, if you go charging at someone with your arms like wide out, throw a haymaker, you're just gonna get caught. And that's exactly what happened. Like, Jake Paul, very good, very. You can obviously tell he's got a powerful punch.
Might be a bit controversial here, but I don't. It seems a bit put on to me, you know. Nate Robinson going down like the way he did. Obviously, it's become a meme, but it just seems a bit iffy to me. Seems a bit iffy.
So when you mean iffy, what you'd think a professional NBA player would ruin his career to fake getting knocked out?
No,
I get what you mean because it looked like it on the video, but I personally don't think it is.
I think he might have been playing it up a little bit.
Basketballs don't get hit. They don't get like those players do not get hit, bro. So
but he's been hit. But he must have been hit plenty of times in training camp. From August, from when he's first started training boxing, he must have been hit plenty of times. And I don't think at any point he just went down the way he did. It's like he jumped to the ground.
Realistically, he had no idea what he was doing, Nate Robinson. You can just tell.
I mean, I think he came in there with a game plan of, you know what, I'm going to rush him, get on the inside, try and box him in his weak spots. But that then translated into sort of haymakers and slight rugby tackles that were false imitations of clinches and just did not look good all around. I think he must have analyzed it, because to be on the undercard of such a big exhibition fight and knowing that many people are going to watch you, you can't fuck up, right?
Credit to Jake. As much as I don't like him, I don't respect him as a person. You got to give credit when credit is due. He did play well. Like, Nate just kept grappling him. Obviously, I know a lot about boxing, but obviously just watching the highlights, it looked like, obviously he said Nate just kept running at him, grappling him. Even the ref kept calling out, "Stop wrestling. It's not a fucking wrestling match." Even a commentator saying like, "Yo, like, this isn't boxing. This isn't like an actual boxing match. This is wrestling." But Jake optimizes is optimizing. He pounced on the opportunity then. And did the job. And, you know, obviously his training's paying off. But I want to just quickly talk about what he's fucking thinking after the thing. Like, I understand, like, the adrenaline is rushing. And he's like, yeah, I just beat a fucking NBA player, and I've told you I was going to do this. And then he started calling out all these big names, bro. You don't do them things, bro.
He's got a lot of people on his list, as it were, and I think it's just. Honestly, I think it's just to up the not popularity, but controversialness of him. For me, I see it as Jake Paul taking on an easy dub, trying to get more wins on the record. So then when he eventually faces, you know, those bigger opponents, he has something to back him, when really he's facing up against people who don't have any experience in boxing. Like Nate Robinson had no experience in boxing. Obviously, he's an athlete, but it doesn't mean, you know, that translates immediately into a really good boxer.
You can't just learn boxing in a couple months.
Him calling out someone like Conor McGregor, I think it's disrespect. Like, Conor's actually fought against hard opponents and proved against fucking Floyd Mayweather, bro. Yeah, he got fucked up, but he's proven himself, bro.
Oh, and also, sorry, side note, towards Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather. They're in completely
Embarrassing.
different weight classes, completely different everything, and yet it's been put up for discussion. Like,
I want to hear Dan's
It will
opinion
never
on this,
happen.
because Dan
Yeah.
is the boxing expert out of us three. I want to hear this,
Yeah.
bro.
If they ever fought, it would be the most one-sided fight I've ever seen in my entire life. Because, Jesus Christ, anyone who actually thinks that Logan Paul could beat Floyd Mayweather is out of their mind. There is 0% chance that is ever going to happen.
Oh god.
To be fair,
You want to hope you don't, bro. That can get clipped, bro, and you can get some
Bro.
shit.
to be
Bro.
fair, I can see it from both sides. I mean,
What?
I can see from the opponent side in terms of switching the perspective from Nate Robinson to Jake Paul to now Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather. I can see it from their side. So Logan Paul, obviously he's lost his previous fight, which is an absolute embarrassment. But try to call anyone out there. But you know, he's he's an influencer with fuck tons of followers who would watch him fight again, let alone against one of the sporting legends. So for him, it seems like, all right, I can take this. And imagine that in an alternate reality where for some reason they have this fight and he decides to go, he goes on and wins. I don't think any of us could take it. For one of the sporting legends, 51-0, flawless career with no losses, no draws. For him to get beaten by Logan Paul,
It won't happen.
is just utterly insane.
It's not gonna
And
happen.
then on the other side of that, Floyd's probably thinking it's an easy fight. Loads of people are going to tune in because they bring in both huge audiences. It'd probably be one of the biggest pay-per-view ever seen, recorded. And the payday, the payday would be immense. It's partly why I think Logan's doing it as well, because the payday would be
Obviously,
fucking...
that's why they're both doing it, mate. That's why Jake and Logan, they're clever. They are clever what they're doing. They are securing the bag. And when I mean the bag, the huge bag, bro, like a fucking skip. But it's disrespect, bro. And I hope they get put in their place.
They're not on the same level.
Nah.
Their egos have been lifted because of this whole YouTuber influencer boxing.
Obviously, after his loss against KSI, I actually enjoyed his content after that. He seems like a pretty stand-up guy. And honestly, I think Jake Paul, I don't like him, but I think what the part of him that I don't like is him in front of a camera. Because I don't think he's that bad of a person outside of a camera. I think they both are very, very smart in playing it up to the cameras, incredibly. Like haunting, controversy, all the rest of it. They ride that shit till the cows come home. It's flawless, and it's got them a massive following within controversy, within them being talked about, within them being hated. I mean, Jake Paul is one of the most hated people online, without a doubt.
Is that a title you want, though?
Well, if it's bringing in, bringing in the bag, if it's bringing in what is realistically probably tens of millions of pounds every year. I know it might not be the best life, but if you can deal with that and sort of take it into its stride, Logan Paul did it for so many years, and now people like him. He went through years of controversy where he was the most hated, but up there with the most hated people on the internet.
Yeah, people just let his shit slide.
At this point, you just let it slide because he's a different person now.
Do you reckon they're trying to make up to the internet, saying look, if I prove myself here, will you guys like me actually this time though? Maybe it's like a get out of jail free card. They're like, yo, you may not like me, but what if I do this and try and prove myself? Will you then start supporting me?
I think within boxing, there's a high level of respect. And I think after Jake Paul came out of that second fight with Nate Robinson, although I have my quarrels with it, there is a level of respect for someone coming into the ring and doing the things that they do, facing that many people, whether it be online or within crowds and whatnot. There's a level of respect you have to have for them, even if you don't like them.
There's been a lot of talk recently, and I think Logan came out and said on an interview that he's been beating up his brother since they were young in fights. He was claiming that he is a much better boxer than Jake. And there has been a bit of talk at the moment that a brother versus brother fight could potentially happen. Now, there is a lot of history between these two in terms of controversy, girlfriends, the diss tracks they made with each other. If a fight between these two was ever arranged, how serious could this get?
I'm guessing you've gotten this from the Impulsive clips, I'm guessing, because I've also watched the same thing. I'd have to agree with them in the video where they say that it would really get fucking bad. There are only a few people who know who we really are as people, and that's siblings, if anything. They've seen the worst and the best of us, and imagine how much shit that they've gone through already, like, regardless of all this boxing stuff. And they're both, as I said earlier, very smart at just sort of captivating the audience with the controversy and back chat and trash talk. So I think it would just go too far. I think it would be. I'd definitely watch it without a doubt. For the press conferences, for everything else, they'd get fuck tons for it, but they'd also have to risk their whole relationship as siblings, without a doubt.
I would personally love for them to settle it, but I could not see them two doing that, because obviously someone's going to be a winner in this fight, right? And that other brother, his career is going to be ruined. No, but obviously, like I've said that about other fights, right? And like I said about Logan Paul, KSI, but that's different levels. Imagine your own brother beating you up in front of millions, hundreds of millions, if not. Obviously, you're getting the bag, cool. But is that bag worth you getting humiliated by your own brother, and this time actually viral? Why would they do that to each other instead of just actually fighting like these professional these legends and making themselves look even stupider? But at least they are actually like sort of proving themselves. But them two, that would be the Goliath of all Goliath fights on YouTube after Logan and KSI. 100%, bro.
Oh yeah. Who do you reckon would be the underdog?
I'd say, oh yeah, that's hard actually.
It's easy for me to say who would be the favourite to win that.
Go on, Dan.
I think Jake would win.
Yeah, I think Jake would be the favourite, because when you're thinking of it from like a factual point of view, Logan Paul, 1 professional fight, 1 loss. Jake, 2 professional fights, 2 wins, both by knockout. Like, it's very obvious that Jake has to be the favourite going into the fight.
I'd have a query with this. So my opinion depends on if this does happen, which speculation about it is happening, but I'd have to see where they met in terms of their weight classes. So would Jake then have to up his weight for Logan to then lower his weight like a little bit, or would Logan have to lower his weight a lot to meet with Jake? Like, which one's going to compromise? And I'd say that would give the winner, because if Jake takes on a lot of mass, then I don't think his fighting style works. And I think he just have to completely readjust, because he's going to be a lot more stiff. He's going to have a lot more, to deal with in terms of he's going to have to up his stamina fuck tons to where he was before, because there's a lot more working there. But if Logan was to go down and meet Jake, then I feel like he's fighting Jake in his own backyard, and he's already practiced and already done all the necessary requirements beforehand to beat Logan out the park, like, without a doubt. So yeah, mine depends. I think it could go to either one of them.
Who do you think would win then?
Wow, the 2 brothers.
Yeah.
So you just said Jake Paul.
No, you said the favourite.
No, I said he'd be the favourite going in.
Oh, okay.
Right, there's a weird thing with siblings that there's always a psychological effect when you're doing anything with siblings.
Yeah.
So the older sibling will always have some sort of psychological effect over the younger sibling. Now, I don't know how much that rings true with these two, because recently Jake has been doing so much and training like a fucking warrior.
Mm.
So his confidence levels are sky high at the moment. And oh God, I would probably say Jake would win
Really?
if I was pushed. Yeah,
Mm.
because we haven't seen Logan since he fought KSI now,
That's true.
and you can tell by his videos that he's been cutting weight now, and that Jake has put on weight for this fight. So I think they're not far off very similar weights at the moment. I just think Jake is he will just go for it. He doesn't care. Whereas Logan is more of the tactical kind of boxer, if you know what I mean. But Jake will be like, if he smells blood, he's going.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like that will happen in the fight too, which will be very interesting because they've got different boxing styles. And obviously Jake being the younger, probably from the past, maybe like obviously Logan said he used to beat him up in the past. Something might, like you said with the whole blood thing, something might just trigger red, bro. And then Jake goes in. I was gonna say I'm not sure who I'd want to win. I'd think I'd rather, I don't know. I'd just be a draw in it and just both like just walk away from it. Do you know what I mean?
I'd rather Logan Paul win because I hate Jake's face.
I hate him
so
too,
much.
but
I'd rather.
You think about how much work this kid's put in. He is the most hated person probably on the internet, on YouTube, definitely.
Yeah, without a doubt.
But you think about the work this kid's put through. Ever since he has evolved from his like pranking days and being a fucking idiot to even more of an idiot, but this time he's sort of proven himself.
But I mean, has he though? This is the thing.
He did say about Nick Robinson thing, and he did do it.
Yeah, no, he's.
It's different.
Okay,
but he still proved what he said.
Okay, yes, it's easy to just say I'm going to knock out someone who hasn't done any experience in boxing and who's been in the NBA for 10 years and only picked up boxing in the last 5 months, whereas he's been there boxing for the last couple of years. That's such a bad matchup. It was only done because there was clout around it, and people wanted to see who would win. Obviously, it was going to be Jake. He was a favorite to win. He won. It's an easy dub for him. He hasn't been tested. You can see within every fight that he hasn't ever been tested because he takes on goons that are just so easy to just sweep over. Like Deji, Joe Weller, Nate Robinson is easy.
I agree.
Like,
I do agree.
I don't think he has a chance against actual boxers. He has a very good chance against influencers and people who don't know the sport. I would disagree with the fact that he has proved himself. He hasn't.
I saw KSI tweeted after the fight, and he said, "I saw nothing special from Jake after that performance, his knockout. Does KSI stand much of a chance against Jake Paul?"
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know. Now, here's the reason why I personally don't know. It's just because we don't know whether KSI's been constantly training or not in terms of boxing, because obviously he's got Leon, his personal trainer and all that to do with his strength and fitness and whatnot. But he's lost Vidal, and I think that was a big part of his success. Was his training coach's relationship with that and how he built him up to where he is. I think he hasn't had that for a while because obviously Vidal has been on his professional grind and been going for that for a while. So, and in the meantime of that happening, where the KSI camp hasn't really been all together with other people doing their own things in the meantime, you've got Jake Paul, who's consistently had his same trainer, consistently been training for the past couple of years, however many days, but constantly been on that grind and has fights up and coming, and you constantly get into that. So I think at this point, I'd have to say it's an even matchup. Although I don't want to say it, I think Jake Paul has a bit of the advantage. Not that I want to doubt KSI, I just haven't seen him train. Now, if I'd seen him train, it would be a different story.
I don't know, KSI's been underrated before.
Yeah, no,
He's
but
been the underdog before.
He thrives off of that role.
Yeah, that's what I mean. To be fair to you, I don't think he'll fight you. I don't think he'll even fight Jake now.
I don't think he will.
Yeah.
Well,
He's got no reason to.
He
has
said
no
said
reason to.
this. He said this. Like he's mentioned this on like other podcasts and bits and pieces around the place. But the only thing stopping him from doing the matchup is because they're just not offering him the money that not the money that he deserves for this fight. Like he's apparently getting offers that were lower than his previous fights, and he's the A side in this. He's the A side in this.
They're so delusional, Jake's team.
I know, but no, I think once the right amount of money has been put on the table, because that's an easy, like without a doubt, 7 figures. If he gets offered enough money and the right stuff, I reckon he'd do it. It hasn't gotten to that point yet. And I mean, Jake Paul's called out Conor McGregor, his sparring partner. Also, he's also had beef with Ryan Garcia. He didn't ever mention KSI.
Yeah, but bro, he'd get smoked by all those people, bro. Have you seen how fucking good Ryan Garcia is, bro? Why
Ryan Garcia?
What? I didn't know he did that, bro. What?
Yeah, he called out Ryan. They
I'm pretty sure that's just for the build up to everything. Yeah, I don't think that fight will ever happen. I genuinely don't think Jake Paul KSI will ever happen. I don't think Jake Paul Logan Paul will ever happen. Just because these kind of fights are not worth it.
Yeah. But I mean, honestly, I don't think the saga is finished, and we're gonna be left on a tithering end until Jake Paul and KSI has been done. And I don't think I think all the viewers know that. I think Jake Paul and KSI both acknowledge the fact that this saga of YouTube boxing won't really be finished until those two fight. And for that factor alone, I think it will happen. I don't think it will be anytime soon. If we do get wind of it, you'll definitely hear it on the podcast. But
I don't think it will happen because
I'm still KSI.
If KSI thought he could win, the deal would have been made by now. I can assure you, because
no, I think he can. I think he has so much self-confidence that he knows he can win. He's not going to do it. He's not going to. Okay. Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah. Like, come on. I think he has enough self-confidence that he knows he can win. But it wouldn't. Why would he do it if he's getting paid less than the other two fights? Like, in a certain sense, why would you do that? Why would you go through all those things if you're not getting paid the bags that you were before? He needs to finish this. It feels like a storytelling game. It's like he needs to finish the prophecy that was laid out for him, the legacy.
And you can't lie to us.
He needs to put it all on the line. But no, it's true. It's why there's so much hype. It's why there's just so much about it. There's so many people want to watch it. Yeah. I think there's going to be a time in which there's going to be so much demand for it.
Just before we end this episode, I'm going to name a fight, and all I want from you guys is one word: who you think is going to win the fight. I don't want any reasons. I don't want anything.
Okay.
We'll start with George and then go to Imran. Okay. Logan Paul, Floyd Mayweather.
Floyd Mayweather.
Floyd Mayweather.
Logan Paul, KSI, number 3.
KSI.
Say Logan Paul.
Okay.
Jake Paul, Logan Paul.
Jake Paul.
Jake Paul.
Jake Paul. Jake Paul, Conor McGregor.
Conor McGregor.
Conor McGregor. You fucking kidding me?
Conor McGregor. And then finally, the big one, the finale. Jake Paul, KSI.
KSI.
I don't want to say. I really don't want to say it. It's like Jake Paul.